What is up, educators? We are going to take a look at an incredible activity to help you get your students moving and discussing today. It is called Musical Shares. Musical Shares is an activity that can work in any grade level and any content area to engage your students in a discussion about your lesson. Now, when you're introducing these activities, your students need to know the best way to be situationally appropriate, which is why you are going to have to take a little bit of time to talk about the what, the why, and the how for any given activity until your students learn these expectations. Let's take a look at how Dr. Russell introduces Musical Shares to a group of fourth graders.
Oh, perfect, hands down. Because I see so many people want to participate. I got you. Your teacher tells me you've been working on musical shares.
Yeah.
Right? So we're going to do some musical shares right now. So what's going to happen is I'm going to play some music just like she does with you, and you're going to get up around the room. You're going to move around that room, right? And when the music stops, you're going to stop and do what? Freeze. And then you're going to turn and talk to whoever is closest to you about the question.
Okay.
So the what for Musical Shares is pretty straightforward. Students just need to be moving or dancing while the music is on, and then when the music stops, they find themselves a partner or work in small groups at tables. Pretty straightforward. As teachers, we tend to change lanes a lot during instruction, and the behavioral expectations will usually shift as well. So, let's set them up for success. What does Dr. Russell have to say to his students so that they can be as successful as possible during this activity?
Now, let's go over some behavioral expectations before we do this. Because we got to keep this safe. So are we going to run? No, we're not going to run. Are we going to throw elbows?
No.
I know my soccer game, sometimes I'm like that, but this is not soccer. If the music's your jam, can you groove to it a little bit? Can you?
Yeah.
Right? But can you do the worm or something? No, not here, not here. Maybe if we have a full-on dance party or something, but we want to keep it safe. Lastly, are you going to follow your friend around the room so when the music stops, you end up with the friend you want to?
Dr. Russell uses kid-friendly language with his students to discuss how to make the movement in this activity appropriate. Here's another introduction for this activity, this time with Felicia Homburger's high school AP Language and Literature class.
What we're going to do in a minute on my go is you are going to get up, again, get moving, grooving. You must move around the room. You may not just stand, and you can't just stand with your usual buddies, okay? You got to move. Now, if you want to dance, you can dance. But if you don't, you still have to move. When the music stops, you're going to share the person.
Explicitly stating your behavior expectations is a great way to get ahead of classroom management issues, because you can really only hold students to expectations if you voiced them first. But what if a student asks why you are doing an activity? This is where you can be culturally responsive by letting them know how you are validating and affirming or building and bridging them. One more time, let's see how Dr. Russell does this in a quick and straightforward way.
Because the idea here in this activity is to get you up and moving so you're not sitting there the whole time, but also to get you to learn to talk to each other and different folks, right? So this is how we're going to work.
Even if your students aren't asking, be sure to tell them why you are doing a given activity. Maybe it's because you want them to share and hear other ideas and collaborate. Maybe you just need some more movement in your instruction so that students can think better by being kinesthetic. And for some students, understanding why they are being asked to do something in class is critical for engagement. Now, I know that seems like a lot to say before you even start the activity, but honestly, it only takes a minute. And it is so important to the success of the students during the activity and for your intentionality as you are planning different culturally responsive activities in your classroom. You'll want to ask yourself, how often am I using activities like this in a given lesson, in a given day, in a given week? Could you use attention signals to start, transition, and end the activity?
I say thank you. You say next. Thank you. Thank you.
Wait a minute, hold up.
Wait a minute.
Hold up.
Wait a minute.
Is there a response protocol that might be appropriate to use after the discussion is over to get a sampling of the ideas that were shared while your students were discussing? Broadly, how can Musical Shares or any activity be strengthened by combining it with other culturally responsive activities? So be courageous and start trying these activities out in your classroom. Give your students the what, the how, and the why. And if it doesn't go perfectly the first time, don't worry. It'll go better the second time, and it'll go even better the fifth time. The point is that you want to focus on how to get this activity to work in your classroom with your style and with your students. You got this.